Hey everyone, thanks for watching the Commander's Brew right here on YouTube. If you guys like the show and you want to help out, go down, hit subscribe right below us. Do us a big favor. Or if you really like the show, go check out our Patreon at patreon.com/commandersbrew and help out. Switching to that monthly donation this month. Yeah, go check it out. There's a lot of stuff going on. We got Battle of the Brews coming out on this channel. We got giveaways. We got contests with the CCO boys. A lot of stuff happening right now. But without further ado, we want to get into this week's deck tech. Sean, it is a Saskia the Unyielding Secret Partners.
Ooh, if you've never played Secret Partners, I highly recommend this variant when you have 5 players. To put it as quickly as possible, 2 players are face up Team A and Team B, and 3 players are face down. Secretly Team A, secretly Team B, and secretly the Lone Wolf. The Lone Wolf must win if they're the last person standing. So, you know, you don't know who your ally is for some part of it, or you're trying to trick other people to thinking you're allies when you're actually enemies if you're the Lone Wolf. It's super fun, but the key crux of that game is that moves happen. And Andy, you put together a deck that is built to take advantage of that environment. It's going to make moves. It's going to declare statements of who's on whose team. I can't wait. Who's leading it?
Yeah, so like I said, it's Saskia the Unyielding taking the helm of this one. The 4-color blueless commander. She's got vigilance. She's got haste. She's going to be dealing damage to basically 2 different opponents at the same time. This is what we want to help close out this game. Once we know what the teams are like, once we know who's on our team, or once we decide that we're going to start getting aggressive, Saskia is going to help us end the game as quickly as possible because she's going to help us take out 2 players at once.
Yeah, super. You got to cast her late, because if you're the face-up Team A, who are you going to name? 2 face-down players? You're probably naming an ally, right?
Yeah, it's tough. Like, you got to make moves, but you can't just make them totally willy-nilly. Like, once you know what's happening, though, get out there and make those moves, and that's what this deck is going to help you do. So, I mean, like, why not just simply get right into the neat moves?
Working on a
Neat
move.
Okay, so we're dealing with a 4-color deck here. We're dealing with Secret Partners. This means we want to give some symmetrical effects here. We want to have something come in on our side of the battlefield, but also be able to benefit our partner or the person we want to have them think is our partner at the very least. So we got a couple of great cycles here throughout Magic, and we're going to start talking about them. Sean, why don't you take this first one?
Ooh, let's talk about the hunted cycle. These are the cycles of creatures that give you a very efficiently costed creature, but you have to give an opponent some creatures as well. 1 or more creatures that are usually about equal power. We got the whole cycle we can, everyone but blue. So we got the hunted dragon, we got the hunted troll, the green one, we got the hunted lamasu, that's the white one, and we have the hunted horror, the black one. The black one, I must point out, is the one that is the cheapest to cast, that gives you the biggest thing. So that's kind of like, if you're able to drop a Hunted Horror on turn 2 and give your teammate 2 3/3 green centaurs with protection from black, and maybe your opponent has black, so like those centaurs are going nuts, like that's a game that, like, you don't need to play secrets there. Just be like, hey, we're your teammates. Let's just dominate right now.
Yeah, let's just get right out of the gate and start making things happen.
Yeah.
The next cycle is the offering cycle. So starting with the green one, we have Sylvan Offering. Then the black one is Infernal Offering. The white one's Benevolent Offering. And the red one is Volcanic Offering. These are all the cards that you choose an opponent like twice. You get the effect both times, and then one of each opponents will get the effect as well. But what the idea is, if you just choose the same opponent twice, they get the effect, you get the effect. So when we're talking about partners, Sylvan Offering is going to give us a bunch of tokens. Infernal Offering, you get to sack things, draw some cards, and get something returned. So you can just return that sacrifice thing back, I think. Benevolent's going to gain you some life, get you a couple tokens, and Volcanic Offering deals some damage and destroys some lands. So they're actually all pretty relevant spells, and they can do a lot of damage when we're talking about being on the same team as someone else.
Oh man, so interesting. And like if you're the Lone Wolf, just casting these is such a bold move. It's like, hey man, we're the same team, let's go nuts. It's like,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, work that strategy. Make people think that you're on their team, and then you can join in with them when it comes to closing people out of the game.
I almost feel like with this deck, I don't want to be a face-up player. Like if I'm a face-up player, then it's too hard to cast these and decide who it is. Like you need to be sure before you can.
I'm coming at everything from the perspective of the lone wolf because it's the hardest to play.
Sure.
You have to be the most even keel. You have to decide which team you're on at the right moment, or what team you're like pretending to be on at the right moment. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's tough.
And speaking of friends and foes, that's the next cycle we want to talk about. It's from Battle Bond. There's a bunch of cards that say pick a friend or a foe. The friends get good stuff. The foes get bad stuff. Typically, I've seen these resolved in regular Commander games. You're almost always making everyone a foe because it just doesn't make sense to randomly give someone a bunch of stuff. But in Secret Partners, this becomes very interesting. Regna's Sanction, that's the white one. Friends are getting +1/+1 counters on creatures. Foes are having to tap down so we can attack through with those creatures. Especially if like your partner's to your left, so you get to kind of like double get that effect because
Yeah,
now
that's
like
really good. Yeah.
down great. Virtuses maneuver, virtuituses.
I'm pretty sure it's just Virtus, like we've been saying.
I don't know. When you put that apostrophe s, it looks weird to me. So this is the one. Your friends are going to return cards from your graveyard to your hand, and your foes are going to sack creatures. That's fine. Korvath's Fury. Friends are going to wheel +1. That's when I'd want to like check in with your friend before I do, because they might not want to lose their hand, but like, you know, maybe that's the move where you're like, hey, you're my friend. If I do Korvath's Fury, make us wheel. Is that good for you or bad for you? It's like, oh, that's bad for me. Don't wheel. Ah, ha ha ha. We are foes. I'm going to make you wheel.
Ha ha ha. We are foes.
But you have to pick friend, even though.
But then you have to pick friend for them, right? Like it's weird. Yeah.
Weird wording. Foes take some damage, and then Pier's Whim I think is the most commander playable in general. It's the one where your friends get to ramp with any not basic. I keep wanting to say basic. You can put any land from your deck into play, and your foes have to sack an artifact or enchantment. Early on, this is usually will ramp, and everyone else has to lose a Sol Ring or a mana rock. So bye bye.
Yeah, very very strong.
Yeah.
The curses are also quite good when it's talking about players. I'm wondering about whether or not these are good in general Commander, and I'm not sold on them. And this is of course the newer curses, the ones that were printed in Commander 2017. But they're great in Secret Partners because you're declaring who your partner is. You're telling someone, okay, here's go nuts. We can both benefit from this, and it's a good thing, right? So we got Curse of Opulence, Curse of Bounty, Curse of Vitality, and Curse of Disturbance. Opulence is the red one, which gives you and the person who attacks as well as you. So like you get it if you attack them, and then if another person attacks them, then you also get it. It's great. Curse of Opulence gives gold tokens, which are like treasures that you don't have to tap. Bounty lets you untap non-land permanents. Vitality lets you gain 2 life. It's just like not even close to being as good as the other ones, but it somehow costs 2 more than the red one and 1 more than the green one. Like, what are they doing? Anyways, and black is the black one gives you a 2/2 zombie. It's really good. I mean, they're all worth it. I think the white one is even like, I put it in because it's this, it's the spirit of the deck. We want them all, and we want the full cycle. So
Yeah.
they're all really strong though. They're all really good, except for maybe that white one.
Yeah, I think the problem comes up in regular Commander because it's usually way too good for the person who runs it. So you're just like, well, I just won't do it. But if you pick one of those middle ones, and in Secret Partners, like that's fine. Your teammate's gonna do the attacking as well. So
yeah, I found them to be more of a deterrence than something people want to do, right? Like there's nothing enticing about it. Of I'm gonna give this guy more gold tokens. Like I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
Yeah, I wonder if the move is to cast it on yourself.
It might be. Yeah, it might be in those games, especially if you're ahead.
Cool. So there's also some cards that are not in a cycle but are just fantastic with partners. These are always going to be strong political cards anyway, but especially good in Secret Partners where you definitely know someone's never going to turn their back on you. Or will they? Humble Defector. It's a fantastic red card draw spell. The drawback is you have to trade it off to an opponent, but if your opponent is also your partner, fantastic. Let's just swap it back and forth the whole game, and then both come out way ahead.
Yeah, this next one is a really neat move. Dawnbreak Reclaimer, which is the angel that you get to basically, you and an opponent get to pick something in each other's graveyards and you get them back. So you normally, you know, it's going to even out for you because you're getting something back to the battlefield that you don't want for your opponent there. But this is a team thing, so we're loving this. And this one was featured on the old episode of Hug One Guy, which again is episode 93. So go back and check that one out for some more inspiration if you want to include blue into these types of decks. But Dawnbreak Reclaimer is even especially better when you get Skullwinders back with it, which is the 2 and a green one that's like an Eternal Witness, but you each get something back. It's like you get a card to your hand. Very, very strong.
Yeah, very strong. Let's talk about this partner from Battle Bond, Krav the Unredeemed and Regna the Redeemer. Still can't redeem Krav though, unredeemed.
Yeah, still will not redeem Krav for some reason.
I'll redeem everybody. Don't redeem the people closest to you. But yeah, so Krav is just great. It's recently spiked because of Taste of Karlov. It's the one that for 5 mana you get basically an excellent sack outlet that lets you sack multiple creatures. Target player gets to draw cards and gain life. That's fantastic, so we can do it for ourselves or for our teammate. Krav keeps getting bigger. Regna the Redeemer, although she has the text, if your team gained life this turn, Secret Partners doesn't alter any of the game rules on a meta level to recognize anyone's official teams. There's no official team, so these cards don't actually work that way. But, I mean, gaining some life in there, still getting warrior tokens for Krav to sack later. Pretty good.
Yep, very, very strong.
It makes that white curse a little bit better.
Yeah, it does actually. So now we want to close out the game, right? We know whose teams are whose, and we've beefed them up as much as we can. So I like the idea of using the real big bad curses to really shut down players at a certain point in the game. One of them being Overwhelming Splendor, just turning your opponent's creatures into nothing. The other being Cruel Reality, which just makes them sack creatures, and if they can't, they lose a lot of life. These two in tandem. I mean, I probably wouldn't put both of them on the same player, but that would be really, really bad. But
well, I mean, it becomes the price of sacking creatures goes way down if they're all 1/1s.
They're all 1/1s, exactly. Yeah. But like at the same time, I think like you if you can get these out on your non-teammates, it's just gonna give you such a strong advantage.
Yeah. And then another partner's team up hidden in here is Virtus the Veiled and his partner Gorm the Great. Gorm's the green person. It's 2/7 vigilance that has to be blocked by exactly 2 creatures. Can't be blocked by less. Oh no, it can be blocked by more. That's true. But you have to block them, and you have to block with at least 2. And then Virtus the Veiled, when Virtus sneaks through for combat damage, that player loses half their life rounded up. So they make a great team. They designed this team pretty well.
Yeah, and again, like Virtus just being able to get in there and half that life total means that you're that much closer with Saskia, and getting those other players down as well, like being able to link that damage. Very, very strong. Mm-hmm. Surprise discovery this week. We found a little card called Null Chamber, which can be good when the team decides to use it. You each would name a card that's not a basic land, and then those cards can't be played. So seems pretty good to me if you can shut down 2 of your opponent's commanders with 1 card, right? Like that seems very strong to me. Yeah,
that seems brutally oppressive. That seems worse than the curse of Overwhelming Splendor.
You think so?
I mean, I guess it depends. Some decks don't rely on their commanders that heavily, so maybe not. But oh boy. Just being like, hey, you don't get your commander until you have enchantment removal. That's pretty tough.
It's tough. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I guess you have 2 players who are in their best interest to get rid of it. So, like, you got double the people trying to get rid of this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Like it's not, it's simply just removing an enchantment, stuff that hopefully we all plan for in our decks. So I don't think it's, like, overwhelmingly oppressive, but it's going to give you a pretty decent-sized window to get in there and take the opponent's teams out.
I mean, if anything, they have to spend their enchantment removal on this, so then you can stick your Overwhelming Splendor later.
Exactly. There you go. Budget report time.
This deck is full of cards, and we're gonna measure them all up, and we're gonna secretly decide which of them are friends and pit them against each other. Each one reducing their value from near mint to heavily played.
That one got away from me a bit.
Yes, it did.
Which is all right. The budget for this one, this whole deck came in at around 133, which might be a bit more than you're willing to spend on a fun Secret Partners deck. But fear not, a lot of the deck's value is in just a few little cards, and we can easily cut those out and get this deck down to be very, very reasonable. So the most expensive card in the deck is Bramble Sovereign. Another Battle Bond card here. This one's the mythic that lets you get you or a player get a copy of the creatures that they just played. A very strong card, but not. I don't know if it's worth the $13 that that it demands.
Like, I do think the card is probably worth that, but I don't know if I want to spend that for this deck. Like, I'll probably want to I want to own one. So it's worth to me getting one, trying this deck out, and then just putting it in the deck that you really wanted in.
Yeah, it does have like a special, like it has more value here just because you want to give your opponent creatures sometimes, right? Who you're obviously is your teammate we're talking about. So that's why he's in this deck, or she is. Sower of Discord is the second most expensive card at $8. It's basically just another Saskia effect. I think like this one spiked recently, and you could cut it. It's not essential. It's just nice to have a little redundancy for that Saskia ability to help us end the game as quickly as possible when we want to. And finally, Lightning Greaves, up and around the $750 price tag these days. That seems a lot for Lightning Greaves. That's too much.
It's too much for Lightning Greaves. Wizards, do something about this. Like, why do we get a Swiftfoot Boots for every deck every year, but we don't get a Lightning Greaves every year? That's
even stopped, though. We don't get Swiftfoot Boots as often as we used to.
Well, I mean, that's okay. We don't need to anymore, but like, can we just have a couple of years where we get Lightning Greaves on everybody?
Yeah, on everybody is the key. We've been getting it since 2015 every year, essentially. We didn't get it in 2018, but we had it 3 years in a row, but only in one deck. So it's
not enough. It's not enough.
It's not enough. But yeah, there you go. You cut just those three cards alone, and you're probably down around $100. So if budget's your concern, fear not. If it's not, and you want to really crush, keep these cards in there because they're all quite good. Sean, favorite card in the whole deck. What do you got?
Conqueror's Flail. This is obviously great for it because it's a 5-color deck. You're going to give a creature +4/+4 most of the time. But
4-color deck.
Did I say 5?
You did.
Okay, 4-color deck. Still,
yes,
big bonus. But I also think it's even worth protecting your board on your turn. Mm-hmm. Your opponent's not being able to cast spells on your turn it's such a nice, comfortable breathing room. You can attack. All you got to do is know what's on the board, which in our format is already hard sometimes. But like that's all you got to worry about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and just putting this on Saskia and going to town is good. It feels real good.
Pretty good.
She alone gives you the +4/+4.
Yeah.
My favorite is Stolen Strategy. It's kind of like a Tali, but not quite as good. It's kind of like that blue one, the 7-mana blue one, but not quite as good.
Yeah.
Mind's Dilation. But Stolen Strategy is still really fun and really good. It's a 5-mana enchantment. So you're basically flipping the top card of everyone's library, all your opponents, and then you get to possibly play with those cards for this turn, right? So I love it. I think it's just the spirit of this game is to be fun. It's to play the best things you can, and like why not look at your partner's library? Why not look at your opponent's library and try and get something out of there too? So
yeah,
I love Stolen Strategy. Just a real fun card for this deck.
Agreed.
Well, there you have it. That's it. If you want to get into Secret Partners, check out the podcast episode. Check out our CB vlog this week where we would be talking about it in a little more depth as far as like strategy goes and ways to play, and then bring this deck into those games because it's a lot of fun when you can affect your partner in a meaningful way in these games. Big thanks to our boy Guy for the inspiration here. His Mardu Secret Partners deck is what inspired this episode. So we will see everyone next week or this Thursday, April 4th, when Battle of the Brews drops right here on the Commander's Brew YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed, do it. That way you'll see when it comes out. We'll be here 8 p.m. Eastern Time, April 4th, Thursday, live for the premiere. See you guys then.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Big thanks to all our patrons who make these episodes possible.
Yeah, and if you want to check out more comedy videos, check out our Brews News playlist.
Make sure you follow us on Twitch TV to see when we play live.
If you want to chat with us, head over to Twitter. We're at Commanders Brew.
And please hit subscribe to ding the bell and find out when we got new stuff coming out.
See you next time.
Bye.